Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to G&G Live, the bite-sized webinar with the attorneys at G&G Law, and it's a chance to pick our legal minds. I'm Ian Saderholm. I'm joined here today with Michelle Green, our founder and owner, and also a special guest, Rebecca Lyon, our wonderful, extraordinarily competent trademark attorney. To make our schedules align, this Q&A is actually pre-recorded, so we won't be able to take any questions live, but don't let that stop you from asking them. We'll get notified that you left a comment. We'll be sure to get back to you and address them. Now, before we dive in, just a little quick disclaimer that this video is for educational purposes only. What we say is not tailored to any specific business. It's not official legal advice, and especially as laws change, we can't guarantee the accuracy of the information contained herein. This video doesn't create an attorney-client relationship between G&G Law and any one of you viewing, and therefore does not create any attorney-client confidentiality. And with that out of the way, I'm going to stop talking, turn it over to Rebecca and Michelle. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Ian, as usual. Awesome introduction. And thank you, Rebecca, for being here. Rebecca has done a ton of deep diving into trademarks and trademark law over the past couple of years. So one of my favorite things to do actually is talk to Rebecca about trademarks because she's into it. So I wanted to invite her for this live stream so that all of you could share in Rebecca's knowledge and interest too. So to dive into trademarks, just the quick first overview question that we always get asked, because there's often a lot of confusion just at the basic level of, and the question is, what is a trademark? And Rebecca, whenever I talk to potential clients and I get consultations, there's often a lot of confusion between trademarks and copyrights and patents. And so just from a very basic level, how do you describe what a trademark is?
Yeah, good question. So a trademark is really, out of those three, the trademark is the one most related to branding. So just like a sort of a quick description, trademarks are related to branding. Patents are more about the design of a product, and by design I mean like how it's made. And then copyrights are for creative works, pieces of art, books, TV shows, and stuff like that. So trademarks can be words or slogans or logos that help the customer identify what the brand is of the product. So I like to use Nike as an example because they have three very easy examples. So Nike, the shoe company, the name Nike is a trademark. And one of their other word marks is just do it, which is their slogan. So those are two examples of what word trademarks would be. There are also logo trademarks, which are images that people trademark, like Nike's little like swoosh on the shoe, or even Google has, their Google, but each letter has a different color. So to get those colors trademarked, they have a logo trademark for that as well. So there's word trademarks, which are just for the words, and they can be any design, or there's logo trademarks for images or specifically designed words.
Okay, makes sense. So a business owner just starting out might think about the name of their business is the trademark. And then they might want to add on a catchphrase or a slogan or something that's unique. We'll get there next. And then if they have an interesting logo that they want to be the only ones to use, logos can be trademarks too. Awesome. Okay, so the next question that actually we were talking before this presentation, and this is the question that I get it a little bit, but you get it all the time once a client comes on and is trying to figure out whether they can trademark their name or their slogan or their logo. So the next question is, what makes a really, really strong trademark?
Yeah, and so this is just from a legal standpoint, right? Because we're not marketing experts, but usually this comes up because a lot of times clients will want to trademark something that's pretty descriptive is what we call it. So the hardest trademarks to even be able to register are descriptive trademarks. So if you have an Apple company, if you try to trademark the word Apple, it's just not going to happen.
Like if you sell apples, you're a farmer
Right.
who sells apples.
Yes,
You
exactly.
can't call yourself Apple
Right.
and then prevent anyone else from using it.
Right, exactly. Or, and it can even be more abstract than that, and you can still run into trouble. Like a tea company that's called Leaves probably couldn't get registered because tea is made of leaves, which the USPTO has really been cracking down on descriptive trademarks. Anything that's, kind of describing what the goods or services are, you can't even register it as a trademark. And the reason is that the trademark is supposed to identify where the goods and services are coming from. So the customer knows what they're getting. So like when you get a Nike shoe, when you see that swoosh on a Nike shoe, you're getting a Nike shoe. It's going to be the quality of Nike, not better, not worse. You know where it's coming from. So the more unique a trademark is, the better. So better than descriptive would be something that's a little more suggestive about what your goods or services are, like Golden Delicious for an Apple company or Pink Lady or something like that. It can still kind of connect to what your goods or services are, but it doesn't exactly describe it. And then the further you get from that, the better. Arbitrary words are very strong, like Apple for a computer company would be a strong trademark. Obviously, and that helps because then if other computer companies are using the word Apple in their marketing, it's pretty obvious that they're probably trying to copy Apple unless they're talking about some sort of like computer program that has apples in it or something. But so arbitrary is very strong, and then the best trademarks are just completely made up, like Google. Because if anyone else is using the word Google, they're in their marketing, they're very obviously just copying Google. So, and I know that's hard for businesses from a marketing standpoint because you want to kind of tell the customer what your product is. I tend to think it's the best when customers or when business owners get creative. And Microsoft is a good example of that because Microsoft is kind of a nonsense word like Google, but it comes from software for microcomputers. So it's still hinting at what it is, which is kind of the middle ground there, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. So stay away from anything really descriptive. So I own G&G Law, a law firm. I shouldn't call it a law firm full of attorneys.
Right.
And something that evokes the idea of a law firm might be good from a marketing standpoint
Mm-hmm.
and would be okay for a trademark, but the very best would be something that's complete nonsense.
Right.
And and something that nobody else uses.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, makes sense. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So then the last and another question that we get all of the time, especially me talking to potential clients, especially potential clients who are just starting a business. So they call, we have a phone conversation, and almost all of them, I would say, I'm on a budget. I want to do all of the things. I want to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, but I can only pay for so much in terms of legal services and also everything else involved in starting a business. And so then we have a conversation about when should you prioritize registering your trademark. And then the question is, does it vary by business type or what you're doing? So there's no good answer, I know. This is all shades of gray.
Yeah.
But I guess the question then is, how do you think through this question and do a cost-benefit analysis?
So I think the best way to think through this question is to think about sort of what can happen if you don't get the trademark. And usually sort of the worst case scenario is that someone else gets it or someone else has it where you're trying to expand. And the long story short is that you end up having to change. your trademark. So
which means having to change the name of your business sometimes.
Right. Yes, definitely. So thinking about that, it's important to think about how hard that would impact the business. So if as a business owner, if you are investing a lot of money into like product packaging, it would be, I would imagine, a nightmare to have to go in and suddenly like scrap all of that packaging and put new packaging on it if, you know, the trademark was on the old packaging.
Yeah. So that type of client that we've had in recently, it might be somebody who's like wants to build a brand based on like a grocery store food item. So they create their package, they send it all off to the factory to make the food item and put the packaging on it. And you're spending a lot of money to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be bad news if you got a cease and desist letter and somebody said, you're using a word that we have intellectual property trademark rights to. Now you have to change it. That's super expensive.
Right. Way more expensive than it probably would be to get the trademark. So if that helps from just a straight bottom line sort of looking at the dollars, you know, how much would it cost you to change versus how much it costs you to get the trademark? And then some other considerations would be if you're planning on trying to get your name out for marketing purposes, like if you're trying to invite a lot of people over to write in their blog about you or something like that, or to write about your business. Keeping in mind that you could lose a lot of the publicity that comes from that if you have to change your name. People aren't going to really know who the blog is talking about once your name changes. So, but that being said, if you're really not putting a lot of effort into the company name as much, and you're more just providing some type of consulting services or something where you're relying on word of mouth and people knowing you as a person, your business name probably is a little lower on your priority list.
Yeah, makes sense. So thinking through what's the worst case scenario, what we've seen as the worst case scenario, there might be something worse, but what we've seen is you get a cease and desist letter and then you might have to change your name. And thinking through for different business types, for different business owners, that's more cost intensive than it is for other business types. But then there's also sometimes I think like the emotional component, which we kind of struggle with, because there's a cut and dry, like there's a cost benefit analysis. But in some ways, when you finally come up with a perfect name for your business, it kind of feels like naming your baby.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had clients that wanted to apply for the trademark. You can apply for an intent to use application before you've even started using the trademark. So when we found clients that have really fallen in love with the name, we do some searching, and if we think there's a chance of registration, you know, we apply for that trademark just so they know ahead of time, because they really want to get that protection right away if they can, before they're even using it, because they love the name so much.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, this is awesome. This is really helpful. Thanks for doing this, Rebecca, and taking time out of your busy day helping clients.
It's been great.
It's nice to spread the word.
Definitely.
All right, Ian, do we need your help? Yes.
No.
The answer is always yes.
The answer is always yes. Spoiler alert. Well, thank you both for that wonderful information. I know I say every time that I learn so much after working at this place for years. I still learn so much engaging with YouTube, even in just this short 15 or 20 minutes that we've had. So thank you both for freeing up your time and for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with the community. And viewers out there, don't forget, if you have a question, pop it in the comments. I'll get back to you. If you would like to see what we can do, if you have a trademark idea that you'd like to bandy about and see if it's viable, see what you can do to protect it, then feel free to reach out. And in the meantime, thank you everybody for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day.